Okay, here's the comfort hive that as I do it. This is the one box, right? So this is 1 by 6. So basically 1 inch this way and 6 inches this way. And then you cut it at 12 inches. And then on each side, you're gonna put 1 screw to connect it to the next side, okay? 1 screw on the same side. 1 screw on the same side. 1 screw on the same side. That way you get, a clear box, not wonky. It's an actual box. So the screw is always on the same side, whichever side. Okay, screw. If you screw it on into the left, sorry, I'm dyslexic, into the right, it's there. Right. 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 And then you're for sure gonna get a square. Okay, and so that's the one box. And then I ordered this off the internet, off Amazon. It's a insulation foam weather stripping. I can send you that link to buy that. And then somebody kindly painted this box for me, so I varnished it, but it's really not necessary. You can paint it if you want. A lot of new beekeepers love to paint their boxes. Fancy. And then this is the 1 inch hole. This I just use, it's just not a dowel, what do you call it? I forget what it's called, but it's a 1 inch hole digger. I'm such a girl. That you put in a drill and it just like that, you get a hole, and that's all they need for an entrance. That's it. That's all they need for an entrance. And then on the bottom, you order. Also, I order it off of Amazon because hardware stores don't have it. It's called 1/8 inch hardware cloth, or number 8 hardware cloth. And you have to order a small roll, but whatever. You use it for multiple boxes. You just cut it with a shears type of scissors to fit the bottom here flat, and that's your bottom of the hive. So one of your boxes has this 1/8 or number 8 hardware cloth on the bottom, and then you staple it 3 on each side so the bees can't use it as an exit entrance. It has to be flat and it has to be stapled on. So this is not expensive at all. Not complicated, not expensive. It doesn't have to be perfectly constructed or anything. It's actually good if it has gaps and stuff, because and I usually do a hole in every box. I'll have a stack of 3 boxes for a hive, and I'll have a hole in every box. And if they don't want that hole, they can propolis it closed, partially or all the way. And if there's gaps, not on this one, but sometimes there's gaps here, and those are great because they also propolis those. And when they do more propolis within the hive, and they can propolis this weather stripping and stuff, and see how there's a little gap there, they can propolis that. And the more the propolis, the more medicine in the hive, so that's fine. I do the weather stripping on every single box because I don't like being stuck where I'm trying to move a box change the configuration in some way, and one of the boxes doesn't have weather stripping, and now I want it to because I want to put the sticks on it. So every box I have has weather stripping, and then I'll do 2 of these for the brood. So bottom box with the mesh on the bottom, 2 of these for the brood, so 1 pair of sticks on the second box. And then I use this because specifically, not that I want to keep the queen out very strongly or something from the honey super, but this prevents the bees from doing what I call upcomb. So what they'll do is when they have their sticks across here, and then an empty space above, they'll start making comb on the top of the stick that looks like a little comb mountain. And they're super cute, but they're not practical in terms of checking the bees. So in terms of, you know, us working the bees. So to prevent that and making it easier to check the bees, I ordered this. I found some cheap ones, believe it or not, because they're expensive, off of Amazon, and I cut them to fit, and then they don't fit exactly. Only one piece gets to fit exactly. So then I don't want to waste. So I cut them, and then I can use like these to go like that. And that's good enough. And then they propolize it and put wax on it and stuff, but they're really easy to take off when you do the inspections. And also, if they're connecting the wax on the bottom of these, it's easy to take a knife and cut so that you can, you know, take off your honey supers or inspect. Put it right on top of your sticks at the top of your hive. And then when you check the bees, and you have your smoker, so you go like that, you smoke wherever you're opening them up, and then it just peels off the wax. So that's the really great material to use. Keeps it a little bit cooler and a little bit warmer depending on the outside temperature too, as a insulating material. But it's great because you just peel it right off of the top of the wax combs. And then on top of this, you put a tile, like a floor tile. So since this is like 13 by 13, for me, the ideal tile size is 16 by 16. But I'm also going for the cheapest. So sometimes I do 18 by 18, which is a little bit big. But it's just fine. I mean, the point is to keep the hive stable with a heavy tile on top, and also to keep all the rain off. And it works great. You know, you have to have it at a pitch this way or that way like you do the Langstroth. And then of course the debris, for a hive stand, I usually use 2 cinder blocks with a gap in between, and that way all the hive debris just generally goes through the mesh at the bottom, that number 8 hardware cloth, to the ground, and it doesn't, so the bees don't have to clean up a whole bunch of debris. Every once in a while, you know, I'll be moving the hives, and on the cinder blocks underneath, there's little, that's where they have some hive beetle gel, and the wax moths have tried to put their, you know, babies into the debris, and like they're all trying to thrive and grow in the debris from the hive, and I just scrape it off. You know, I just go like that, just take them off, put the hives, you know, that hive or a different hive back on. When I see hive beetles and hive beetle gel, sometimes they're in weird corners or along the bottom, and I do squish them and kill them as a favor to the bees. So sorry, hive beetles, but that's what I do. And then this material, I wanted to say that you can also, you know, sometimes you get this packaging when people have meal deliveries. So some of my friends have had like meal deliveries, and they get this type of material, and I use that. Sometimes with the edges, I'll just use painter's tape to seal edges if it's doubled, and it makes a perfectly fine and recycled top rather than using the Reflectix. So I use that. I've used that about half the time. And then painter's tape is my friend, big time, with the this hive stuff. So let's say I'm moving bees and at night I want to cover their entrance. I just use painter's tape. If there's little cracks here and there that I know they're getting through, you know, I'll use painter's tape just to cover it up. And then when I'm moving the hive, it's really simple. I just take the tile off, I take painter's tape, and I run it around all 4 edges. And I just use a lot of painter's tape, but it's a little expensive, but that's okay. You know, that's one of the things that I splurge on when being a comfort hive aficionado. So I use a painter's tape to seal the hive so that I can carry them in my car. And I use one ratchet strap. So I'll have the ratchet strap on the bottom of the hive. I'll ratchet strap it. I'll have the ratchet strap over the I'll take the tile off and I'll have the ratchet strap just come over this. I'll use painter's tape, painter's tape here around all the edges. I'll stick my hand underneath the tight ratchet strap, pick it up, and away I go. And as a woman, using the Comfort Hive is infinitely more easy to maneuver than that really heavy wood, you know, every piece wood kind of Langstroth. So this is way lighter. And smaller amount of bees, but a 3-level or 4-level of this is totally equivalent to how many bees are in a Langstroth average. Not a big booming Langstroth, but an average Langstroth. So it's not like this is so much smaller than a Langstroth, but it's way easier for a woman to beekeep with this. And then the Hive tool is not this, although I have these around, but this doesn't go in between, it won't fit in between your sticks. So my Hive tool is a long, thin knife. So I have a few of these. Long because sometimes they connect the comb all the way down below 2 boxes. So I need a thin knife with a thin handle that I can push all the way down as needed. And also when I need to go and cut the comb this way as well, to loosen it at the bottom of the comb so that I can lift it up. And the comb, the sticks I use these days, this is my new handy dandy box. I'm so in love with this. I'm super in love with this. Did I use all the comb? Oh, no. So this is the sticks I use today. I get them off of trees. So this goes across and like that. Sorry if I'm not doing a good video. And then you do 8 across. So 4 to one side, 4 to the other side with bee space in between. You'll figure this out intuitively over time, because when it's too far apart in between 2 sticks and then tight between 2 sticks, you're going to get all kinds of cross combing or extra comb that they build in to fill space, and they'll connect it to your inner cover instead of to a stick. So you just want to do even space across, 4, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4. When you are connecting natural comb to a stick, it's not, they don't make it directly onto the stick. You need to connect it, like from a hive removal, or if you're transferring natural comb from a Langstroth to a Comfort Hive, then what you use are these zip ties. So depending on the age of the comb, you have to go down into the comb. Like, let's say the comb is this long and you're going to put it, you know, in the 6-inch. And then you go down like maybe 6 cells. Poke this through 1 cell. Come back around, you know, you make your little zip tie, get it started. And then you can either do it with the stick on top, or you can get the zip tie started, you know, where it catches, and then thread your stick through, and then you tighten it. It is important that the comb is tight as much as you can to the stick, because if it's hanging down below the stick, they may not actually go up and connect it. So you definitely want them to connect the comb to the stick so that it's super stable and it's not just relying on these thin pieces of plastic, right? And also I buy the thin ones that are long. These work just fine, but long ones I think is the important part of this scenario. And because sometimes the comb is very light and new, and you have to go deeper down into the comb because it'll cut through the comb maybe halfway up, you know. And you also may, on really fresh comb, you may need to use more of these. It's very difficult to hang fresh comb, and it's pretty much impossible to hang honeycombs using these. It cuts straight through the honey and the wax, and they're gonna fall. It's gonna fail. So what I do instead when I'm doing removals with a lot of honey is I'll just press it and jar it or keep it in a bucket, and I'll keep it available for that BT mix to feed back to the hive if they need it. But most of the time, a hive that has a lot of honey stored, they also have a lot of honey around the edges and the top, capped honey of the top of the frames for their brood. And I just try to, when I'm hanging that I try to put enough zip ties that go below wherever the honey is, up in the corners, and I'll stick these through the bee bread cells instead of a honey cell, and that way it's a lot more likely to stay put. And then once the bees secure it, they secure it within a couple days to the stick. But in the meanwhile, you don't want comb to be not hanging, but dropping down to the bottom and making a big mess that you have to go back in and disturb the bees and clean. So, yeah, I think that's all that I have to say. Whoa.